Hey everybody, welcome to episode 61 of Two Guys, Zero Planners. A little bit of an interesting episode today because this episode is the start of, air quotes, season 2.
Yay.
Do you know what makes it season 2?
The AI, I guess.
All hail ChatGPT. Yes.
Yeah.
Urban actually gets to start this one off, so take it away.
Yes. Where do I start? So you might have not, when you're listening to this, you might see a new cover art for our podcast, and that's generated via ChatGPT. So in one of the recent versions, it got really good at image manipulation, and I don't know why I thought to play around with it, and I then had these raised beds I had built out of old pallets, and then I thought, let's see what happens when I ask ChatGPT to tell me what would they look like in, 3 months when the cucumbers and carrots have grown in or something. And then I continued playing around with it. And then I thought, okay, now I take the logo for FPC, and I ask it to create a round sticker and add, fountain pen companion on top and the URL at the bottom. And then I take that and then I make it in a million styles, like Vermeer or Kandinsky, or modernist, or one-line drawings, or and so many. And
you've got Warhol, Studio Ghibli, the Salvador Dali one, that
was
a
hard.
Trip.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. So yeah, I got a bit obsessed with that, and I am now, at least this month, paying the $20 for the subscription. And then you asked me, hey, can you generate a new logo for it? And then you gave me the old logo, an image of you, and I added an image of me, and I added some description and said, hey, please do it in the style of Vermeer. And it's a podcast, and it's about stationery, and there's dogs and guinea pigs and randomness. I also added the word randomness. That's why I think the stuff is flying around. Mm. And that's about it. And then I tried it a few times, and then that's what we ended up with.
Well, okay. Did you tell ChatGPT that I was an American?
No.
Then why did ChatGPT decide to randomly give me a pistol in one of the early renders?
I don't know. That was, that's always the thing that I noticed. You can sort of give it input material and then ask it to make certain adjustments. But then if it doesn't come out the way you like it, you basically have to start from scratch, because that's what I did. Then I asked, okay, please make an adjustment. There was no guinea pig in it. There was a teddy bear for some reason. And then I asked it to adjust that, and then suddenly it did random stuff. So that usually doesn't work well. So it's like this, you have to one-shot it essentially with the images at this point.
So a teddy bear turned into a guinea pig. No. The guinea pig turned into a teddy bear, and me holding a pen turned into me holding a pistol.
Yes. And you can sort of, with every image or with every adjustment you ask, the faces become less and less like the person they were in the original. So
yeah, I was noticing that you ended up having more of a pronounced comb over the more that the original image progressed.
Yeah.
I've also got to say the last cartoony one, right before we switched over to the old Dutch masters.
Yeah.
If you look at the notebook that's in front of you, why does it have both a spine and then a spiral?
Yeah. I mean, you should have seen the things that I didn't share, right? Sort of, it obviously can't really spell, right? Sometimes you end up with a third N in there in planners, for example, or
oh wow,
or not quite an N, but like the upstroke and then the horizontal one, but not the third stroke of the N and stuff like that. And once you're there, you basically also have to start from scratch, because it can't make then the adjustments anymore, because I mean, it's just a dumb program. It doesn't really know how to spell, right?
Right.
And then I had some nice earlier DALL-E versions, but they spelled random. I mean, not quite random, but also stuff that was off. And then I tried to make the adjustments there, but then the image changed drastically again, and it wasn't as nice anymore. So yeah.
So then you ended up giving us you ended up giving the committee over on the Discord server 3 images. The first one looked okay, but I didn't understand why the guinea pig would be on my side. Also, my dogs neither of them are beagles, so it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Then the second one, who did that painting of the girl in hard contrast light staring off to the side?
Yeah.
Yeah, that picture that everyone knows, but I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
My face looks like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then who has a schnauzer? I don't have a schnauzer. Do you have a schnauzer?
No.
And then that led to the one that we ended up going with. So there's a few what I call acceptable Easter eggs in this picture, which is why I gravitated towards it the most. The cup in front of me has what looks to be 2 charcoal pencils and 2 paintbrushes. I don't do pencils, but I used to paint, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But if you look at it would be the left side of the picture, so the stem holding the ear cup of the headphones on the far left side.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that ear has broken off the headphones at least once or twice and has been taped back on.
Yes.
I have a pair of headphones that looks like that. So that was cool. I thought that was a happy accident.
Uh-huh.
And then the way that it decided to do the shock mount on the microphone was so trippy and physically impossible for that to work that I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that's those LLMs, right? It doesn't have a concept of what things are. It's just been trained on many images and generates something that looks like, at least we have 5 fingers, right?
Yeah, that was cool. Good. Like having the right amount of fingers was amazing.
Yeah.
Did you also notice I want your beanie that you're wearing in our logo? Because the headphones are built into your beanie.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's like 2, right? It's brownish, but it also has this, and on the front it's dark.
Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. Like if somebody could design that, I would buy 5.
Yeah. Also, they are really old school, right? Wired headphones, right?
Yes.
Nothing wireless here.
Well, I use wired gear for the majority of my stuff. I prefer it that way. So yeah
me too.
We have a new logo. And that's why season 1 was the first 60 episodes with the old logo, courtesy of Michael over, just Michael. He does a lot of stuff in the pen world somewhat. I don't know. Michael's kind of been in and out, but yeah, good guy. Really good guy. If you ever go to the Chicago Pen Show and see a tall guy that looks like he probably coaches a hockey team, it's probably Michael. And yes, he probably still coaches one of his kids' hockey teams, if I had to guess. Yeah. So you also did some stuff with FPC.
Yeah. One was that I basically generated a lot of sticker images. So my Redbubble account is still not active. I guess there's some manual checks that they need to do. But then, I don't know, at least I want to have one of each of the stickers. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone else wants some, but they were fun to make and I want them in my hand at least. And then I basically redid behind the scenes all the infrastructure and I moved it off. I use a hosting service called Heroku, which made it super easy to host, but it was I thought it was a bit on the expensive side and not very flexible. And then I redid it with something more, more current. And it's about the same price-wise, but more work for me. So at least it was a learning experience. So I guess that's also good.
I mean, that's definitely one way to look at it. If that was, if the extra workload was something you were wanting to do, then yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, now I can sort of buy reservations for a year and then it really becomes cheaper. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
fine.
Was that just previously not available or what?
Yeah, exactly. That wasn't. So Heroku is a service that's built on top of AWS. So they are much easier to get your stuff deployed and running, but then it's more expensive and you don't have all the flexibility of the underlying system. So,
Oh, come on. Amazon's not flexible. That's like
yeah,
saying water's wet.
I mean, Amazon AWS is super flexible, but obviously what they've built on top of then isn't. And
Yeah.
also, I don't. So I'm running it on fly.io because I don't want to give Amazon any more money than I have to.
Fair enough. The money I spend on Prime and commercial free Prime Video is it's fun.
Yeah, I mean here in Germany it makes even less sense. I don't know how it is sort of with Prime. There's so many movies that you have to rent anyway, so you don't get them for free. And at least for books, there's laws in Germany that you can't just make up prices, but they're fixed, right? So wherever you buy them, it's like the same. It's just that Amazon is maybe a day or two faster sometimes, and that doesn't really matter too much.
Well, I'm actually getting ready to cancel my Audible subscription because work has started reinforcing its clean desk policy.
Mm-hmm.
So audiobooks are a no-go. So I'm going through my entire Audible library and buying the Dead Tree version of all the books that are in my library.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to need that weird thing called a bookshelf. It's going to be weird. My youngest has decided that now is the perfect time to play with one of her toys. So there will be dog sounds throughout the episode.
As always, yeah. I mean, you can
always.
also go without the shelf. Like my wife now has 3, towers of books. She still wants to read.
Well, it'd be nice if the books would stack nicely, but science fiction authors, for some reason, can never pick like a good standard book size. So you've got short ones, you've got tall ones, you've got fat ones, you've got skinny ones, you've got some that are more squares, some that are more rectangle, one that looks like a rhombus for some reason. I guess it didn't get cut right in the print shop. So you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Excuse you, you do not lick the microphone. If you're going to be up here, be a pillow or go play. 60-pound dog sitting literally right behind my head on my chair.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah. She thinks she's a parrot. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where there's no real point in me having Audible if I'm just going to be buying the paper versions of everything anyways. So yay. At least that's $15 a month that I get to put back in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good times. Good times. Yeah. Also, vintage things. We're gonna skip ahead really, really quick.
Yeah.
My best friend found his mother's old camera from the late 70s, early 80s, and it was it is a Pentax Super. Now, my friend has no photographic skill, inkling, or anything else. Mm-hmm. So he's like, "Hey, do you want to just take this camera and have some fun with it?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So got the camera, got a couple rolls of Ilford Delta 100, mm-hmm. and took it out to a salt flat where we were doing some crystal digging. Did some pictures up there, did the obligatory dog pictures and stuff. This roll's going to be horrendous. I've never shot with film ever. So this is a first. But we'll see. That particular roll of film is currently in California being developed, and I will probably know by the end of this coming week just how bad the pictures were. So that should be fun. And that'll also tell me what I need to adjust going forward, because I didn't just stop at 2 rolls of film. I didn't even just stop at my friend's mother's camera. No, couldn't do that. I picked up an additional 4 rolls of Ilford 400, but this is the FP5 ink of theirs, or ink. Film.
Yeah, that's obviously much more grainy, but yeah.
I'm okay with that. The Delta stuff would be nicer, of course, but I went with what I would feel a little bit more okay with ruining. Yeah. So that just felt like the right thing for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend's camera, because it had been sitting in a closet for an eternity and a half, the padding that the mirror slaps up into had disintegrated.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
the residue from the adhesive got all over the what is that? The
Yes, I
focusing
forgot.
mirror.
Yeah. I forgot all the terms too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would assume the light seals might also be shot, right?
The light seals looked good.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything protecting the film until shutter press looked good. But that one particular part, the adhesive getting on top of the focusing mirror or the focusing lens, when you look through it to try to focus and everything, you're just looking at a whole bunch of dirt and detritus that just will not come off because of that adhesive.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the thing that anyone else would do. My friend is an electrical engineer. He's really good at fixing stuff. So I bought 4 as-is camera bodies that are not functional, but I checked all 4 of them, and the focusing lens looks fine in each of them. So at least according to the iFixit guide, the way that the light meter on that camera works and everything else, as long as he can get it apart, he should be able to easily swap out that part and still have an operable light meter and everything else going on. So he should be good. And he has 4 cameras to ruin before having to do it for real on the other one.
Nice.
But I didn't stop there.
Of course not.
A brand new Pentax M35 Super, or ME Super 35, is a cheap film camera. I mean, not super cheap. It's still like, for one that's in excellent plus condition at KEH.com, it's like $155, $160.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought my own.
I mean, yeah.
And then I couldn't stop there.
Yeah.
So I also picked up a 135 f2.5 lens. Because of course I did. I mean, I still have his mother's 50 millimeter f1.7, which is currently sitting on my camera body with another roll of Delta 100 in it. Mm-hmm. I'm just like...
Oh, did you check the lens? Usually at that age, it can develop fungus if you're unlucky, especially if it's been sitting in a closet for so long.
I did check the lenses before I used hers, before I used her lenses, I did check them, and I did just give them my usual cleaning that I do for lenses. The problem with the 2 of the 3 lenses with her camera is they'd been sitting so long that the iris no longer adjusted correctly.
Yeah, that's
so they were stuck at maximum aperture.
Yeah.
The good thing is, again, my friend is an engineer and he's used to taking stuff apart. So he still has all the tools that he had last time when he took apart the rifle scope on his which one is that? The Romanian version of the Dragunov, the PSL 54C. Anyways, it's one of those old Russian scopes on it, or Romanian scope that's mimicking the Russian one. And he's taken that apart multiple times and worked on it. So he's like, well, sure, I'll go ahead and try to fix the iris mechanism on these. If I can, I can. If I can't, I can't. And I'm like, okay, you're the engineer. Have fun.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hooray, me, money, and camera stuff.
Yeah, I still have one roll of Delta 100 sitting here that I haven't yet sent off to get developed. I need to do that at some point and see if I can manage a 21 millimeter full frame lens.
Well, what I'm thinking about doing is, since shipping stuff off to the darkroom is pretty cheap and I don't want to mess with having the developing equipment here at the house, and I only ever plan on filming or doing black and white photography anyways, what I may do is get one of those 35 millimeter scanners, and just have darkroom do the development and just send me the strips back so I can do my own scanning.
Yeah. Or, I mean, higher quality would probably be to use your digital cameras, right?
You're not wrong.
Because, I mean, those standard 35 millimeter scanners, they are not that great usually. But I mean, it depends on how much time you want to invest into that stuff, of course.
So I just put a link in the show doc to the particular scanner I was looking at.
Okay, yeah, the plastic. Yeah, that's true.
It's slightly overkill for somebody that's completely new to the hobby. But when have I ever not done anything
brand.
Overkill?
Definitely on brand for you. Yes. And if you only do black and white, it's also so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rest, sort of the only thing that you lose with black and white is that you need to manually handle the dust.
Well, the good thing with that is getting a good enough scanner, like the Plus Tech, allows me to bring things back into Lightroom and take care of a few things.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the advantage of color film, because the scanner can do, I think it was an infrared scan as well, and then it can detect the stuff that's on infrared is the dust, and then it can automatically already remove it. There's also Ilford XP film, which is basically black and white, but C41 development, so that would work as well. That's, I think, the only one.
You say that, and in my shopping cart, for purchase later is some Ilford XP2 Super 400.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it pisses me off to no end that thanks to the Cheeto in chief, prices are going to go up on film.
Yeah.
Unless it's Kodak, but even then prices will probably still go up on film.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, where do all the chemicals come from, right?
Right. Yeah, Kodak has to get their chemicals from somewhere, and they're sure not getting them in America anymore. That's for damn sure. So yeah, that is the hobby that I have chosen to pick up. Yay, me. I do have some other camera stuff as well. So do we want to hit that before we circle back to some domestic stuff for you?
Mm-hmm, sure.
So I've had the Panasonic S5 IIX for a while. I was going to use it as a filming camera before I quit YouTube. Yay. And I decided to go ahead and get a longer lens for it. So in the meantime, while I wait for the right amount of disposable income to get the Sigma 150 to 600 with the Sigma 2x adapter for my astrophotography stuff, I picked up the Panasonic 70 to 300. It's not the fastest lens out there. I think it's like at its fastest, it's f5.6. Panasonic.
Yeah, but 70. I mean, with the digital bodies, it's probably not too much of an issue anymore, right?
Oh, it's 4.5 to 5.6. Okay, yeah. So
you're not shooting ISO 100 with film, then it's fine, I guess.
Well, with that one, the good thing is because it does pixel shift, if I can find a perfectly stationary thing, I can make a 96 megapixel picture out of it and have no problems. Mm-hmm. But I finally took it out when we went crystal digging a couple weeks ago and took it out to the wildlife preserve part of the park where we were at and got some actually halfway decent bird shots with it. So even though the camera is only 26 megapixels, with that lens and with it being a full frame camera, I'm actually getting some decent quality. So when it comes time to do show notes, remind me to send you the Instagram links for that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I do have those posted over there. Oh, yeah, no, that was the same lens I also used for the sassy pigeon picture while I was waiting for my car to get worked on. Yeah, there was a pigeon at the mechanic shop that was giving me the side eye the entire time. It was that pigeon had some attitude, man. It was crazy. But yeah, I've got some more stuff to talk about, but we'll circle back around to me. Let's go back to you for a bit.
Yeah. So it's been a while since we last recorded our episode, and stuff has happened. Sadly, guinea pigs don't live that long. It's like you say, usually 4 to 6 years. And we have 2 basically we had two older grandpas. They're both 5 years old. And sadly, one of them died in the meantime. He, I don't know, didn't eat as well. And then, I don't know, you could actually, he had developed a crusty nose. And then it was, I don't know, if we had gone maybe a day earlier to the vet or something, they would have maybe could have done something. But yeah, he then sadly passed away. And then we had a 12-year-old who had to cry every evening for, I don't know, 2 weeks or something.
Yes, the significant loss of a pet.
Yeah. And now we are obviously the second grandpa. We are really, I don't know, we're weighing him all the time and we are taking a much closer look at him. And yeah, let's see. Maybe he lives a bit longer.
Right.
On the other hand, should he die, then we could change the setup a bit. And then we only would have two groups of guinea pigs and not three like now. So there's ups and downs, I guess.
I mean, which one are you hoping for there? Are you hoping for the upside or the like?
I mean, he's the friend. He's the friendliest, and he's one of the two we had of the initial ones we had. So yeah, it would be sad, obviously.
Well, yeah,
yeah, that's how it is. I mean, I don't know if it would be better if it were an animal that lived for 20 years and then died. It's probably not better anyway, right? So
yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here. My oldest is let's see, 2025. So my oldest turns 13 in November, and yeah, for a lab, that's getting up there.
Yeah.
So I know that here pretty soon, I'm going to have to deal with some very unfortunate things that I am not looking forward to.
Yeah.
Because then I'm also just stuck with the 60-pounder that likes to be a shoulder dog, apparently.
Mm-hmm. And then he has only you instead of another dog to keep him company, I guess.
Well, until the rule of two fulfills itself and I end up getting another one. Bailey, don't listen too closely. I'm not talking about replacing you while you're still here. But yeah, there is a rule of two. There must always be two dogs.
I mean, I've also started making preparations for the second grandpa to die. So we have still 4 young males. So we had one neutered, and he is now with one of the girls. I don't know, actually in my bedroom. I can hear them eating the hay sometimes at night, but usually it's fine. And then when the old one dies, he and the girl can go back to the other females, and they have a group. And then we have the 3 males that they don't like each other, but it's good enough. They have a truce most of the time, and they can live together.
Oh, guinea pig standoff.
Well, and sometimes a bloody nose. So it's actually.
Oh man, that is. I don't think I say that I don't think I could handle having a guinea pig in my bedroom, but I have 2 dogs that literally take up like 3/4 of a queen size bed. So I don't know. Maybe the guinea pig would actually give me a lot more room for sleeping.
Yeah. I mean, you can get used to most things, I guess.
For the most part, yeah. For the most part. So that is man.
Yeah, that is that. And the other one is like I don't know. I think it was November. So think of cold weather. And Friday, I don't know, 8 p.m. And suddenly the electricity went out. And then I went and, I mean, sometimes it happens. You have some appliances that, I don't know, acts up and you played around with it a bit. And then I looked at all the fuses. Nothing was happening. And then now basically we have this, then there's this electricity meter. It's sort of in a cupboard, and I open it and it smelled burnt. And I thought, that's not great. If you can if there's a smell like that close to electricity. And then I basically, it was completely out, which includes our heating and obviously all the filters and everything for the fish tanks. And so not cool. And then we had to, find some emergency electrician. They obviously charge quite a lot because it's after hours and more or less weekend and an emergency. And then he basically realized that it's basically where the electricity comes in from outside and goes into the meter. It suddenly started to burn a bit, and everything was melted together a bit. So he said we were actually pretty lucky that nothing else happened, and it just stopped there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty lucky is a slight understatement there, but yeah.
Yeah, and that was that. And then, I don't know, he had to come back the next day and do some final fixes, and then it was like 1,700 euros. Luckily, we have had the home insurance, and it took a bit, but they actually paid it all. So that was, I mean, we had the insurance for 10 years and used it maybe once, and it's like at least 500 a year. So I guess they're still making a profit from us, but it's good to at least not on a random day pay, I don't know, almost 2,000 euros for some repair work.
I mean, depending on the repair work, that could get like a lot more expensive here stateside. Just a lot of it being labor costs. Like the parts wouldn't cost that much. The labor costs would be
that was here too.
Destroy you.
The parts was like, I don't know, 60 euros or something. Yeah, and then when I tried to forward all the paperwork to the insurance, I wasn't even sure if this was a real electrician or I was being scammed, because there wasn't a real address on the invoices. And he had said, okay, yeah, sorry, our card reader broke. Can you please give me the money in cash?
Wow, that does not sound suspicious at all.
I mean, it sort of does, but when you're in the situation, you obviously don't think about it. You're just happy that someone's getting your power back, right? So luckily, the insurance took it. Then, I mean, it took a few weeks. I had already said, okay, then it was an expensive mistake, but at least we have electricity. But then suddenly they said, okay, here's the money. It will be in your account in 2 days or something. So luckily they paid for it.
Oh, wow. Man.
But yeah, either no cash or I'll have a look on the invoice and it needs to have a real address and a proper company name, because I also looked for everything I could find on it on the internet, and it just didn't really exist apart from one. I mean, the address existed, but it was some kind of high-rise building somewhere. So, it was a bit weird.
There's nothing sketchy about any of this at all.
Nope.
Oh, wow. I mean, definitely glad it went better than it could have. That's for sure.
Yes.
Oh man, that is like anytime you end up smelling blue smoke, or at least in my experience, anytime you smell the magic smoke of electrical doom, it's just like there's that little bit of panic where it's like, oh dear God,
yeah, how
close am I to a fire? And how much is this going to just completely destroy my wallet?
Yeah,
like especially with the audio gear I have. Well, even the computer gear I have. There was one time I'm sitting there working on a recording session, and me, being the idiot that I was working on a mix in the middle of a lovely Oklahoma storm, because Oklahoma does Oklahoma things.
Mm-hmm.
And my house, we had a lightning strike close enough that it surged the electrical system. And even with all the audio protection, like all the electrical protection stuff I have my audio plugged into and my computer plugged into, it overloaded one of my Furman power conditioners. And that in turn overloaded my motherboard and just fried every USB port on the motherboard all at once. And it sucked, because it was one of those times where I was doing the project as kind of a favor, where they were going to be paying me on the back end what they could.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really have the disposable income for a new motherboard, but I had to get one.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was when like boutique motherboards were stupid expensive, of like $500. Nowadays, like a $500 motherboard is kind of normal priced. But back then it's like, oh my God, $500 motherboard. What are you going to do? So yeah, anytime I smell the blue smoke, I start panicking.
Yeah.
Man, so that's fun.
Yeah. And the other thing I learned is that when you, I mean, there were warning signs. I just didn't know, right? It was like the week before we had every few times a day, sort of for a few seconds, the light flickered a bit.
Okay.
So you could have, I mean, the electrician, I mean, I still assume he at least was somewhat of an electrician. He said, yeah, it seems like it was sort of slowly burning away at the spot. And it just, at the end, it was so much that it actually tripped some of the fuses. But it seems like it had happened over weeks. So next time the lights start flickering, we'll call someone right away. But yeah, the parts replaced, and hopefully not for a few more years.
Let's see. How long have you been living in that house? It's been a while.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah. And well, I guess how old is the house?
Yeah, it's almost 10 years.
Wait, the house was new?
Yeah.
And now that makes me even more confused. How did you have a major electrical issue after only 10 years?
I don't know. I mean, the company that built the house sort of tried to save money everywhere. So it is, everyone complained about them. Essentially, it's like, it is a house, you can live in it, but it's not like, I don't know, they could have spent a bit more on stuff and then they would have still turned a huge profit, but no.
My apartment is kind of the same. Well, okay. Any new construction in Oklahoma is kind of the same way because, you know, contractors, they're going to try to pocket as much as they can. So
yeah, I mean, even the contractors, we talked to them, they complained about the company, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
From both sides, right? Everyone complained about them, us, and then the contractors, right?
See, here it's more of the contractors doing the pocketing. So it's like around here we have this lovely issue where the soil takes a long time to compact and settle after you build a brand new house on it. Mm-hmm. So like my ex-in-laws, their house was well, I don't know if they still live in it or not. But it was like 3,200 square foot ranch house. So single story, kind of sprawling, built on a slight sloping hill. Mm-hmm. And the contractor, instead of taking the additional 2 to 3 months to make sure the foundation had completely settled before building the house, decided to rush that job. So they started seeing cracks in the foundation and stuff within the first year to year and a half that they were there. And the cracks just got worse and worse and worse to the point when I think it was 2 years into my marriage at the time, they had to put stilts under like 3/5 of the house and raise the majority of the house up 8 inches to true it up with the rest of the foundation. And I'm just sitting there going, holy crap. But the bad thing is,
wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. But the sad thing is that is like more common than it should be around here.
Yeah. And the problem is like you build a house once in your life or maybe twice, right? And you just don't know better, right?
Well, and these are houses that, I mean, a 1,600 square foot house built in the last 10 years is going to run you $370,000 right now. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're spending a good chunk of money for a crappy product. And I don't, it boggles the mind. It just completely boggles the mind. So I choose not to think about it because I don't like having headaches.
Yeah.
Man, good, good times, good times.
Yeah.
So do we want to cover some actual stationary stuff?
Yeah. We have it in the new logo, right? So we should, I guess, talk about that too. Yeah. Yeah. So recap for last year, sort of, I had started to make a game out of using or at least emptying as many ink samples as I could.
Mm-hmm.
So for last year, I counted, then it was like 57 ink samples, which sounds like a lot, but also it included all the Noodlers ink samples that I just poured down the drain.
Right, which still counts as using them.
Yeah, and all the samples that had basically dried up, which I also couldn't use. And then I strategically picked the samples with the least amount in it. So I had some there was like 1 milliliter of ink or 1.5 or something. So it was like 1 or 2 fills. So that was fine. This year, I'm now up to 8 because now it becomes hard, right? Now it's like, yes, someone was very nice to me and gave me a 5 milliliter ink sample. And then, I don't know, a month or 2 later, it's now finished because I only used that pen or so. So it's much more slow going, but also this year I'm being strategic and I'm using all my music nibs and stubs and double broads and I don't know, eyedroppers that are super wet and flex nibs and everything like that. So it's still a fun game. I don't know, in 4 years or so, I might have used up all the samples or so.
Well, I have one pen. It is one pen. My wrist is still messed up, so there's that. So I'm not going through that much ink with the Pelican M600. I still am on my same bottle of Pilot Hiroshizuku Shoro, and I've got like 35 mil left, so I'll be using that ink for a while.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah. Also, I finally got one of those 5-year journals. So I got the Midori one, and I started in November or something. That will be until November, until it becomes interesting, I guess. But yeah, I've been journaling for a while anyway, so writing 2-3 more sentences in the extra journal isn't too much of a problem.
I try to journal. It's by my desk here. It does occasionally get written in. Like our podcast, I will go months at a time without saying anything to my journal. I look at it. I acknowledge it. I should probably get better at that because, I mean, sure, I shouldn't be doing YouTube videos still because that's a lot of work and a lot of issues with my wrist. But journaling every once in a while is probably a good thing to at least maintain some manual dexterity, I would like to think. So I should probably do that at some point. I probably like at least once or twice a week.
I mean, for me, it's also yet another excuse to use up some of the ink, right? I even I use one of the really light ones, like currently a yellow to write the date on top, really big and fat. And then one of the others for basically the journal entry. Recently, I also started to use the back of my glass dip nib. Sort of the back is really fat and rounded, right? It's not supposed to be used for writing, but I'm sort of just, I don't know, using a third ink and make a really fat line under the heading, right? Sort of that uses up hopefully also a bit of the ink and gives you nice sheening because it's such a lot of ink usually. So yeah, I'm any excuse to use up ink, I guess.
Any excuse is a good excuse.
Yeah. And I realized I've now, obviously when you use ink samples, then you really look at what filling system the pen has, right? So piston fillers are usually out of the question because ink sample 1 milliliter of ink left, that usually doesn't work. So it's now either cartridge converters for me or those vac fillers where you can unscrew the top.
See, with the piston fillers,
or sometimes if depending on the piston filler, like for example the Pelican, you could unscrew the nib unit.
Exactly that's exactly how I'm a monster. I know I'm a monster, but that's how I choose to fill my Pelicans. Is I will unscrew the nib and take an eyedropper and make sure that I get every last milliliter of ink into the pen and then screw the nib back on.
Well, I think Brad also does this. He also doesn't fill normally. Because I mean, it's also messy, and then it's like you have the whole feed is full of ink, and I mean, it feels like you're wasting it if you sort of remove it with a kitchen with I don't know, shop towel or something. But I mean, in the end, it's probably like 0.1 milliliter of ink at most, but still somehow it doesn't feel right.
I feel like this may cause a little bit of controversy, but I have not listened to a single episode of the Pen Addict in about 4 years.
Wow.
Love Brad to death, love Mike to death, just have not been listening at all.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't fit or you don't want to, obviously, why not? Yeah, it's no.
I think it's a time thing.
Yeah,
which is weird because I have plenty of time to do quite a bit. It's just like podcasts. The only podcasts I'm really listening to, aside from ours and expanding beyond when I'm editing them, is Regulation Podcast. That is Gavin Free and Jeff Ramsey from formerly of Rooster Teeth, and then the Incomparable Game Show, because I like listening to them playing their version of Trivial Pursuit, where they mix all the Trivial Pursuit cards from all the different versions of Trivial Pursuit. So yeah. I don't know if that makes me a horrible person or not.
No, I mean, you just do whatever works. I mean, I try to go for a walk after work most days, and then it's like if you're out for 45 minutes, an hour, then I usually, if I'm not too tired, listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
And then it sort of adds up after a while. But I still have a backlog, and I have to kick out various podcasts because it's just too much.
Man, the one thing that has definitely been taking up some time. I have been going through Operation Unfat My Ass. Because as a younger person, I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. It existed. I ate it, and I didn't quit eating it. That's where it became unhealthy. And then it just became a coping mechanism for a whole bunch of other problems. Bio dad, marrying someone who acted exactly like my bio dad. Bad relationships, just bad stuff. So it got to a pretty big size. And then right after divorce, ended up losing a whole bunch of weight, got down from 850 pounds down to like 400 something. Then I had a doctor go ahead and have me try Ozempic at the beginning of the pandemic because, at the time it was a new wonder drug. They didn't know too much about it, and they still don't know that much about it. But instead of curbing my appetite like it was supposed to, it made everything look like it needed to be eaten immediately. Like my appetite just got way worse. So at the start of the pandemic, not because of the pandemic, but because I could not stop eating because of Ozempic, I went from a size 5XL shirt back up to a size 8. I went from being able to wear normal clothes to having to wear gym shorts. Like, I gained probably 160, 200 pounds.
So you gained myself.
Yeah.
Weight.
Essentially. This last October, I finally got fed up with it. And I'm just like, okay, I'm getting ready to turn 40 here at the end of 2025. I'm sick of being fat. I'm just sick of it. And the only time I ever successfully made progress was when I worked hard and I counted my calories. That's the only time I've ever made progress. Like, we're trying like miracle drug A, miracle drug B, trying all that stuff, fad diets. No, just
eat less.
Yeah. Just eat less. Make sure, like, if I am eating stuff that is causing me to have a bad time in the water closet, then maybe I should adjust my diet at that point. Or if what I'm eating is making me very tired, my body's telling me maybe I should change what I'm eating. Listen to your body. 9 times out of 10, it will tell you if you're doing something wrong. But if none of those things are happening and you're eating less and you're exercising, then you'll make progress. And if your body's not telling you that, oh, you're too tired, or, oh, you're just having issues in the water closet, then keep doing what you're doing. I mean, obviously, go to a doctor, get your blood work done, make sure all that stuff's coming out fine. I'm hitting that age where, hereditary high blood pressure. It runs on my mom's side of the family, and apparently I have enough of my mother's genetic overhaul that I have her high blood pressure. Yay. So I get to talk to my doctor about that next month.
Mhm.
But yeah, I back in October, I decided, fuck this. I hate the fact that I'm fat. I'm just going to do something about it. So since then, I've been I wake up at about 6 a.m. I do half an hour of stationary biking. Then I do my morning routine, go to work, come home, and immediately do another half hour of stationary biking before getting on with the rest of my evening. And I don't take an off day.
Wow. It is essentially the only way to do it, but it's just super hard. I'm trying, not super seriously, but I'm trying to lose 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I would be at around 150, which I was, 10 years ago or something. But even that, if, the kids are sick again, or there's this or there's that, then it goes out the window again. And even it's just super hard to maintain
It is.
the schedule. And it's just takes a lot of mental effort.
It really does. And that's one area where I'm grateful that I never had kids. I'm grateful that I don't have a partner that I have to dedicate time and energy to. I'm very thankful that I can be selfish when it comes to this stuff and focus on me, because the amount of work and dedication I'm having to put into it does require me to be selfish. It does require me to be more me oriented. And I'm glad that I'm able to do that I'm able to go, okay, this week I'm going to spend 7 hours just wearing myself out to make progress. And there's times where I've had to realize that because of my age and the damage that I've done to my body, allowing myself to get up to 800 and then down to 4 and then back up to around 6, and now trying to get back down into the 400s and eventually the 300s and then hopefully the 200s at some point. The damage that you do to like your endocrine system and everything else and your digestive system. There's a lot of compensating I'm having to do as I'm getting older. So that's fun.
Yeah.
And it's that compensating that is tough. Like I can no longer, like I can have the occasional steak, like maybe once or twice a month, if that, but red meat has almost gone completely out of my diet because my stomach just can't do it anymore with my gallbladder. I guess I could have my gallbladder removed, but it's not causing any infections or anything. So no surgeon really wants to remove it because technically it's still healthy. Even though it's a gallstone factory, it's still technically healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So occasionally I get to deal with passing gallstones, which is super fun. In the last 3 years, I've probably passed 40 or 50 gallstones.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's not cool, yeah.
I mean, it's enough to make you hate life for about 24 hours, but now that I know what to look for, like when I can tell that I'm getting ready to have a gallstone episode, I know like, okay, these are the fluids I'm going to need. This is what my life is going to be like for the next 24 hours. Let's just push through it. And there were times over Christmas where, sure enough, gallstone, I was doing my exercises. So I'm sitting there in the middle of a 30-minute stretch on the stationary bike, almost doubled over in pain. And I'm going, no, I'm not stopping. I am keeping 105 RPM.
Mm-hmm.
On 75% resistance. I'm keeping it up. I'm keeping up the pace. It sucked, but it's one of those things where that's what I'm having to push myself through right now. It's also part of the reason that we've been hit or miss with recording over the last 6 months. I mean, there's been stuff on your side with family and stuff.
Oh, the winter was so crazy. It's like, my son here missed, I think, a third of the school year because he was sick. And now the hay fever season is slowly starting. And then you have to sort of deal with all the, basically getting up to speed again, right? You miss a week and then you ask, he tries to get from the other kids, hey, what did we do that week? And then this year he also started with Latin. So you have to do the Latin and the math. And it's just a lot of work and a lot of stress. And he doesn't necessarily care about school. But you want to be at least as good so that you get passing grades, right? So
right. I mean, and it's like you're sitting there like you're either getting sick or a family member's getting sick or you're having to help them get caught up or you're transitioning from one job to another. I mean, even recording Expanding Beyond got pushed to the side for a bit. And then on my side, it's like I'm pushing myself to the point of exhaustion. And then we're setting up our recording schedule. We try to record every 3 weeks. I know, it's funny.
Always in the calendar. Yeah. It rarely happens.
Yeah, there were a couple times where we were scheduled to record and I'd send you a message on Discord going, I feel like death.
Yeah, and the week after it was me. Yeah, we sort of did it one after the other.
Yeah. So I mean there's been a lot of progress there. I do finally have a primary care physician that is not trying to treat me with miracle drugs. He comes from the more older school of medicine, where he believes that, yes, hard work and controlled diet can go a long way to making you a healthier, happier person. And he's not wrong. I mean, you're pre-diabetic. How do you solve that? Control your diet. You are diabetic. How do you control that? Control your diet. Do exercise. It's amazing how much diet and exercise tend to fix a lot of the small shit that goes wrong with humans.
Yeah, that's true.
That being said, I'm not trying to sound like RFK Jr. That guy's a fucking quack and should not be leading the health services. Vaccine your kids. Vaccine yourself. Seriously. Like, all the vaccinations needs to happen. The fact that we've got that guy in charge of our health is a scary, scary thought.
Probably not the only one.
Dude, I because of my name, I am afraid to travel outside the country.
Yeah.
Because if I try to come back into the country I have lived in almost my entire life, with the exception of when I lived in Turkey or Germany, I'm afraid that I will be deported to a prison in El Salvador because I do not have an American sounding name like John or Smith or Paul.
Yeah, it really is crazy.
And because maybe at some point on an episode of Two Guys Zero Planners, I said something that was actually DEI or positive towards the LGBTQ plus community. Yeah. Yeah. We live in the most weird timeline. I want to say another word other than weird, but I've already used up my own mental allowance of profanities for the episode.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess in a way, our generation was super lucky and lived in, I guess, in not normal, not usual circumstances compared to the history of humanity, I guess.
I will say I'm glad we got to be kids when we were kids.
Yeah.
Other than that, if we had lived like 10 or 15 years earlier, being a kid would have sucked. And if we would have lived 10 to 15 years later, we would be trying to develop our sense of who the hell we are in the middle of this crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a interesting aside. I guess we'll finish off with a couple things and we'll leave my computer and audio stuff aside for a bit, especially that second Mac one, because that one's actually a funny story. Yeah, very funny story. That thing looks like a giant, like, not happy, not sad, just non-emotional one-eyed robot staring at me. Actually, we'll talk about that thing. I had a Mac 4, M4 for a while, and I was going to, I went to Best Buy just for the fun of it, because I was going to pick up another M4. I was going to go ahead and pick up one with the M4 Pro chip. And in the glass case was this Mac Studio. I'm like, okay, Mac Studio, cool. Probably an open box return, whatever. I look in, and this M2 Max, it says it's an M2 Max, and it was the floor demo. So this Best Buy, their Mac Studio floor model never actually got plugged in.
Okay.
They had 2 Mac Minis running their displays. If somebody wanted to see the specs of the Studio, they might turn it on, but this particular one never had been. So this particular M2 Mac Studio was the equivalent of the old Buick that Granny drove to and from church twice a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like no miles whatsoever. And it was $1,400.
Mm-hmm.
So the M4 Pro base model and the M2 Max base model are pretty damn close in comparison for actual like raw CPU performance. And then the Max pulls ahead with the GPU performance just because it's got like 3 times as many cores for the GPU side.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting here going, okay, for me to have 32 gigabytes or 36 gigabytes of RAM in the M4 would be an extra 200. So that brings me up to 1,500 or 1,600 now. Then for me to get all the other upgrades I would need on it, I'm out the door $2,000 for an M4 Mac Mini with the M4 Pro chip.
Yeah.
Or I can spend $1,400, $600 less, and get this floor model that had never been touched. Sure, it's 2 Apple Silicon out of date. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, these days it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Considering, yeah, so I'm just like, well, I have to check one thing really quick. Was it the M4? Which one did they decide not to make an M4? Was it the Max or the Ultra?
I have no idea. Fun fact, I haven't bought my own computer for years.
I envy you.
I mean, it's usually great if work gives you the computer and every contract says this is a work-only computer. You're not allowed to use it for anything else. But I guess everyone does. And as long as you don't tell anyone, it's fine. I also work in small companies, so I can use my own Apple ID, right? So I can sync my stuff back and forth. So it's fine. I mean, once the company gets big enough, they want to install stuff and then it might break. So then, I don't know, maybe I need to look for a new job or something. But yeah, the only time where it was tricky was when they sort of kicked me out basically on a Friday afternoon and then remote shut down the computer. So that was a bit annoying. But
yeah,
otherwise, it has worked well. And then, I don't know, at some point I left the company after 3 or 4 years and then I paid €100 to get the 4-year computer, which we still have. It's like a 10-year-old MacBook Pro, right? And you can't use modern software on anymore. I can't install the latest OS anymore. So it's a bit problematic. But if I were to go back and install some Linux, it would still work just fine. Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. By the way, it's the Ultra that they didn't upgrade to the M4. So yeah, my M4 Max or my M2 Max is 2 Silicons out of date, but price-wise, I couldn't say no. So I went in going for a second Mac Mini, and I came home with a giant Mac Studio. And of course, because it only had the 512 gigabyte hard drive or SSD, what did I do? I went ahead and got the $99 Satechi dock. Then they also had a Samsung 2 terabyte NVMe SSD that was conveniently priced to the exact same amount for that brand that I would be paying on Amazon. So I went ahead and picked it up at the same time. That's what we're recording on right now. Yeah. I have, since the last recording, I am daily driving Mac OS. The only time my Windows computer even gets turned on is when I'm playing video games now.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. My engineer friend who we were talking about an hour ago in the podcast, he's switching his daily driver over to either Red Hat or Fedora, and he's going to daily drive Linux.
Yeah.
Mainly because he hates Mac OS and doesn't like having Apple products anywhere near him. So he threatens to do horrible things to my computers anytime he comes over to kick my ass in Scrabble. But yeah, we've been friends for 31 years. I allow him to threaten my computers. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, gaming is essentially the only, I mean, that's also the same in our house, right? So at least my son, mainly he wants to play games. So that's why we have a Windows computer here too. Otherwise it's Macs only as well.
And it's to the point where as soon as some of the games that I play, either the anti-cheat software starts working with Linux, as soon as that gets figured out, then I'll have no need to have a Windows computer. And then the only two operating systems I'll be on are Mac OS and Linux.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you want to be pedantic about it, and I know we've got some computer engineers in here that are going to disagree and come at me with pitchforks, Mac OS is essentially just Linux with a veneer.
Yeah, it's more like a BSD, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. But
the biggest reason I like Mac OS is because I can go in the terminal and literally treat it like I'm on Ubuntu. And it's amazing how much of it is exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah, same for me. Right. I mean, these days, basically anything that powers the web and everything is running on Linux, right? There's like...
Mm-hmm.
You're looked at like the weirdo if you were to run something on Windows powering anything of certain size, right? So that just doesn't happen. So it has taken over completely, and that's why the Mac made sense. I mean, my first Mac was a white iBook, and I've never looked back, right? Because even that back then it was like, yeah, okay, I do some work and it's going to be running on some Windows, Linux machine somewhere. So why would I have a different development setup? And why would I try? I mean, back then, that was like almost 20 years ago, or maybe a bit more, trying to get Linux to run on a laptop. That was something I didn't want to attempt, because then you had to really be careful and pick the right combination. I guess these days it isn't that bad anymore. But yeah, back then I thought, okay, then it's a Mac, and at least I don't need to think about it.
I mean, Windows is the operating system equivalent of that drunk guy at the bar yelling at the TV, saying he can play football better than the entire Manchester United team. It's like, dude, why are you even trying? You are making a fool of yourself, and you're just getting worse and worse the more drinks you put down yourself. Like, Windows 11 breaks so much crap. Like, I had to get away from it for all of my audio stuff, all of my picture stuff, like all of my photo editing. So my MacBook Air is my daily driver for my finances. It is my daily driver, and it's also the computer I do all of my photo editing on. And then the Mac Mini is we're currently talking on the Mac Mini right now. It is our TeamSpeak server, and it's also the Minecraft server. And then the Mac Studio is what I do. It's my home theater. It's my audio recording computer. It is my audio editing workhorse. So It's like, yeah. And then I've got this derpy Windows computer that it literally just gets turned on to play Civilization 6 right now. It's a good machine. I mean, there's people that would pay good money, even though some of the stuff is slightly out of date and needs to be updated. But yeah, it's just like, oh yeah. Speaking of stuff, and I guess we could round it out with this. I did overhaul my audio again. Surprise, shocker. I know. The big difference is I'm not using Audacity to record my audio.
Okay.
I did finally cave in and listen to my Sweetwater sales rep, Alan Carter. You're amazing. You've been the best sales rep now since 2007. Love you much. And he's like, we were just talking, and he's like, you could start using Audio Hijack and Rogue Amoeba stuff like I've been telling you to do for over a decade. And I finally caved in and started doing it, and it works really well. And I use it for like my Discord audio when I'm gaming, because I can use my exact audio workflow that I use when I'm putting podcasts and stuff together. Yeah. So I'm not using Audacity to record the audio anymore. And this is actually the first show where I'm doing that. So this is a good experiment to make sure I did not mess anything up. Yay.
Yeah.
I should probably, now that we're also like an hour, I don't know how long the edit's going to be, so we're at least over an hour into this episode. Hello, YouTube people. For those listening to this on YouTube, Yes, I decided that even though the Inktwell is no longer making videos, that we do have this podcast where we occasionally talk about stationery. So since it's stationery adjacent and I do it, I went ahead and linked our podcast to my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And we got a copyright claim due to episode 24. Where I played a 15-second snippet of A Day to Remember covering Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone.
Incidentally, that was the episode with Brad, right?
No, the episode with Brad.
That was something else.
No, you're right. It's episode 28 that was A Day to Remember. Episode 24 was two guys, zero Brad, I think is what we called the episode. It got a community notification, not a community guideline strike, which is a completely different can of worms. It just got a notification that one of the links in our show notes had to be removed by YouTube because we talked about the Joe Rogan podcast and we linked to the Joe Rogan podcast and it got flagged as spam. So there you go. YouTube thinks that Joe Rogan is spam. That's not my opinion. That is YouTube's opinion. I mean, it may be my opinion too. But there you go. YouTube said a link to Joe Rogan's podcast is spam.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, with the new logo and everything, that was a lot less work than I was expecting. Waiting for the RSS feed to upload to YouTube and then waiting for all the checks to make sure I could monetize. Was one thing. I'm waiting for the first couple comments to come in and say, why are there mid-roll ads? Yada, yada, yada. And depending on how much hate I get for that, I may turn mid-roll ads off. I don't know. At the moment, I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see if there's any hate for that.
Happens.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah. I guess as far as that goes, if you're on YouTube and you like the podcast, be sure to like the video and subscribe. You can click the bell if you want to, but honestly, I still think the bell is broken. And for those listening on your podcast player of choice, keep doing what you're doing. We do have an email address in the show notes. So if you do want to email us, that's entirely up to you. It would sure be better than the spam that any type of podcast email ever gets. We want to grow your podcast. We know nothing about your podcast, so let's try to hook you up with a bunch of stupid products that don't make sense for what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's that, or I mean, for expanding beyond, we sometimes get, I don't know, they want to get some random CEO to be on the show or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you guys are a tech podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it would be nice. It would be nice to get emails that are not like just complete outright spam, like even questions or something that you want us to talk about on the podcast. I know we're not timely, but you could still ask us questions. I mean, I promise we won't bite or infect you with the plague. We won't even take the fluoride out of your water. That's RFK Jr.'s job. I need to be careful. For the next 4 years, I could be deported because of that.
That's not necessarily even a joke, right?
Honestly, that may be my retirement plan. I've got enough history in this country thanks to my family. If I show the right documentation, my lawyer could probably have some fun. Do I really want to tempt that much fate, though? Do I really want to miss that much work and then have to try to get back pay so I can pay my bills? Ugh.
Yeah, maybe not.
No, maybe not. But, welcome to land of the free, home of the crazy timeline. Maybe by the time we record our next episode, we'll know exactly what tariffs are doing to the pen community, which is kind of why I didn't want to touch that. This episode
probably has changed 10 times in between. But at least I will have some of the Chinese pens then that you probably can't get anymore.
Exactly. So we will probably have a little bit more of a stationary focused episode next episode, which we will try to record in 3 weeks. Yeah, so we will talk about it then. And Fig Boot had a really successful release that we will talk about at that point too. I'll probably say hi to him on Slack and catch up so he knows I'm still alive. I do feel guilty when I don't talk to him regularly. So yeah, David, if you're listening, I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm just very busy trying to get healthy. So it's me, not you. Wait, that just made it sound like a cliche breakup in a rom-com. Well, before I go loopy, I'm going to go ahead and drink some coffee and continue on with my day. I've got some laundry and stuff to do, and I have a dog that's looking at me like she is going to explode if I don't take her for a thing. Mm-hmm. So that being said, it's been great catching up with you finally after the long winter.
Yes, it was fun.
Yep, and we will see what it is, how this audio ended up sounding, and whether or not this particular kludge of audio that I have going is going to be the winning thing.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
All right, well, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.